What up, world? Waxvillain, Seattle, Washington. You already know what it is. Welcome to Gem Dropping, a show dedicated to sample junkie culture, crate digging, beat making. We got Nathan Womack, my brother, Seattle, Washington, founder of Thematic Records, one half of the dynamic duo Paces, Lift, and Ben Bounce. Keep it locked. We'll kick things off soon. George Semper in the building. I see you, brother. Benny Bounce in the house. Kurt Simpson. I see the whole Waxvillain family on right now. Yeah, waving memories. I see you, brother. That's my brother Chris Lujan right there. John Lowe in the house. Yeah. Waxware 45. You already know what it is. Nate Womack in the building. I see we got about 8 on the line. Chunky Monkey Mama in the building. Dust Raps in the building. There he is. What's up, brother?
Yo, what's up, man?
I'm good. Can you hear me okay?
Yep, all is good.
I never get tired of hearing that.
Me too. That's why I sampled it.
Okay, I see we got about 10 on the line.
Not bad.
Give it one more tick, and then we'll go ahead and kick things off. Get Vinyl J in the building. I appreciate it. So for everybody that's on the line right now, the record I was spinning right there, I want to show you a picture of it real quick. Okay. Thematic number 10, first release of 2022. Diggin' East imprint on Thematic Records, debut from Nathan Womack. 2 lost gems across the slab. All right, we got 14 on the line, man. If you're ready, I'll kick things off.
Let's go.
Let's go. I want to welcome everybody to Gem Dropping. Gem Dropping happens to be one of the very first live stream shows that I started on Instagram. The idea behind it was to celebrate sample junkie culture, crate digging, beat making. I started off collecting vinyl through the lens of a beat maker. And so that was where I wanted to take it. I've always had a lot of passion around sample-based music, hip-hop instrumentals, and so on like that. And we've got a very special guest. He's not a guest. He's Waxvillain family. But like I said, at the top of the year, he had his debut release on the Diggin' East imprint. We got The Past But a Dream and Nanjing Road spread across 45. Absolutely fantastic use of samples there. And I thought it would be awesome to bring Nathan on, not just to talk about that record, but more importantly, the importance of crate digging, of going to record stores. By and large, a lot of our friends are digging in the States, and Nathan and I have had the opportunity to dig outside the U.S., whether it be Asia, whether it be Europe. And I just thought it would be really cool for us to rap for a little while, talk about our experiences, and share them with you so that you can all kind of get a lens into what it is like to walk into a record store and see records that you've never seen before in your life. Nathan, my brother, welcome. I'm so happy to have you.
Thank you, man. Thank you so much.
So last month was really special. You know, you made the debut under the Diggin' East imprint. When I saw that 45, I loved, you know, the typography, everything that I saw on that label. It was like there was something deeper there, and I just kind of kept looking at it. And then, of course, when the needle drops, that's when it's really special. You cannot deny that this is a fantastic 45 here. I'd love it if you could kind of tell us the origin of how this all started. Just give us the background.
Yeah, man. A few years ago, I had the opportunity to go over to China. And to be honest with you, I never really gave it much thought. Like as a country, I was kind of like, okay, cool. And then I thought, like, wait a minute, this could be crazy. Like, this could be absolutely crazy. Like, I got to dig over there. Oh, my God. Mm-hmm. But then the more I searched, the less I found. I mean, it wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna go to Florida. Let me look up the 10 record spots that I'm gonna hit, and maybe if I know some locals, I can do some stuff that's out of network. But there was just nothing really on the radar in the beginning, so I really had to start like from scratch. It was a lot like going back in time where you just didn't have everything at your disposal. So that was the most exciting part of it. That's what really kicked it all off.
Very, very interesting. So for me, before I would travel places, I would always try and scout out like the scene. Is that something that you were able to do ahead of time, or was that, because I know we're talking 2017, things
Yeah,
might not be on the map, but did you have the opportunity to do that?
man, I tried, but I had never even heard of the city that I was going to. Like I knew
Wow.
like most foreigners to their area knew. I knew about maybe Beijing, Shanghai, Hong Kong off of the mainland, and maybe a few other tier one cities. But I'd never heard of a place called Kunming before. I had no idea what to expect, and I looked it up. I was like, damn, it's beautiful, but I can't. There's no record stores. Like that's crazy. But then, digging into it more, I kind of found out like, okay, there's some bookshops like maybe, and I would find some like Chinese websites, everything's in Mandarin. So I would just try to translate on my phone, maybe like
Oh,
screenshot and translate, something like that. And then the
wow.
first thing I found was a bookstore, and they had this guy. It was a blog post, maybe 6, 7 years old at that point, and this guy was sitting in a little room, and there was a little stack of records in the background. I was like, well, that's something. It's better than nothing. And luckily, that article was in English, and it was this dude who his name is Mali, and he owned a bookstore. And when I got there, I was like, first thing I'm doing is tracking down that bookstore. Like that's the first
Wow.
thing I'm doing. So yeah, and I found it. I found it. I couldn't believe I found it, but it was there. He was there, and
Wow.
I showed him the article. He doesn't speak English, but I showed him the article, and like he called his girlfriend, and she came over and she translated. She helped to translate a little bit,
Wow.
and then they were like, yeah, there's no records in the whole city. This is it. This is all there is. And I was like, what? There's like 6 million people here. There's got to be more. There's got to be more. So I just kept digging from there. That was the starting point.
Okay. Now it's 2022. This was in 2017. Could
Yep.
you kind of describe your identity as a crate digger? I know you were probably making beats back then, but give us a lens into what you were thinking as a record collector, so we know what you were maybe looking for,
Yes.
what interested you. I know for me, when I was into making beats, I had a really wide variety, right? I never was settled in one genre. And oftentimes it would maybe just take a few seconds to hear part of a song. And I knew that record was more of a tool than just kind of, for leisure
Yep.
listening, right? Kind of like today. So just tell us a little bit about, what version of you was in 2017.
I mean that this is a great question because that definitely informed everything that happened in that moment. So
Wow. Okay.
at this point, we had only done 3 records on Wax Thematic, and so the third one was electronic producer Rum Tum, and then but Tropicoro was already done, and so like I left the country knowing like I'm gonna be gone for 3 months. Tropicoro's finished, but we didn't really know. Yeah, Ben Bounce and I, yeah, we didn't know when we were gonna put it out yet. We were still planning all that, planning the release party, all that stuff. And so at this point, I'm like going into the second album of Beats with Ben Bounce. So
Mm.
I already like definitely got my feet wet with Quick Trigger. So I was definitely like hardcore sample, put out beats, make sure it's like the best stuff I can possibly put out. But at the same time, I was DJing at Bastille Restaurant in Seattle and Ballard.
Okay.
And at that time, I had like gotten really obsessed with Afrobeat, anything international funky. And I had
Mm.
like, I was just scouring the bins. And back then, you could pick up stuff for pretty cheap, especially the one of the old Light in the Attic warehouse locations. They used to have a $5 international bin, and they were new. It was crazy. So I would pick up doubles, triples, anything I could.
Oh,
Turkish psychedelic stuff, crazy. Yeah, so that really whet my appetite. And I've always been interested in like stuff a little bit different, a little bit different. But I already had the international like taste, and I was really like diving in deep, like crazy. Ethiopian jazz, all that stuff. That's when I got really into it. Was around that time when I was DJing at that restaurant, and that's what I would play out. So I was looking for like, okay, there's gotta be like Asian stuff like that. That's the stuff I gotta find, like the Chinese stuff, the Thai stuff. So yeah, that was the point I was at.
I love that. For the next question, I think back to that very first time that I walked into Red Light Records in Amsterdam. At the time, this might have been 2013 or something like that, 2014. And I had no internet on my phone. Something had happened, and I could only access the internet through Wi Fi.
Oh,
And I
damn.
remember I just remember how vivid it was. Like, I could tell you how to get to these record stores in Amsterdam because I remember walking along the cobblestone road, going through the red light district, and then they say, go to this church and ring the buzzer. And I ring the
Yep.
buzzer. This
Yes.
door opens. I walk down this narrow hallway into this courtyard. And there are two record stores side by side. You could only fit maybe two people tops side by side.
Yes.
And kind of like you said, when you saw the store, you saw the guy, you saw the stack of records. As I walked in and I looked around this record store, I did not know any titles on the wall.
Oh,
When I started flipping through, I had no idea what I was going for. And to make matters worse, in my head, I'm thinking US dollars, but everything is in euros. So
yep.
now I'm thinking, gee, 18 euros. I can ballpark, I can round, and I'm thinking about these calculated risks, or maybe they weren't calculated, but that's what I was working off of. It was looking at an album cover. It was looking at the back, maybe paying attention to the label, even being as cheesy as looking at the grooves to try and see if you could identify a drum
Oh,
breaker or what
of
that looked
course.
like.
Of course. I still do that.
Tell us kind of what you experienced when you walked into that store. You said you met the girlfriend and everything. Give us the full picture of what that was like.
Yeah, Mali's girlfriend at the time, she was helping to translate because she was the only one who could speak a very tiny little bit of English, but really like we just kept working with the translation apps. That definitely solved the situation because when he said there's no records in the whole city, what I found
Mm,
out was that I was like really disappointed. I couldn't believe it. Well, what I found out was he was saying there's no new records in the whole city.
okay.
So then I realized I was like, wait, he means there's used records somewhere. And I was like, oh, we're gonna be fine. We're gonna be just fine. And so he said something in Chinese and he pointed like this. And I was asking her like what is he pointing to? And she goes, oh, he says there's an older woman who has an apartment in the back alley and
What?
she has records. And I was like, take me there right now. And so she said, okay. And then she told it to him. And then Molly took me literally not even 100 feet. I mean, apartment building behind his shop. Like she's just right there, like fourth floor, and I'm like, oh my God. And I instantly get excited. I think I like went live, or I don't even know if live was a thing back then, but I know I like recorded it on my phone. I was like recording my footsteps. I was so excited, so stupid.
Yeah.
And I go in, it's like giant steel door, to the apartment. You open like boom, boom, like it's a jail cell. All the steps are hardcore concrete. Everything's like very, very old school. Um, and I go up the steps, fourth floor. There's no lights, and the whole place is super dark. And I'm just like, oh my God, my heart's racing. My heart's racing. And then I ring, it's like, meh, I ring the little doorbell, and this lady opens the door, and she's like, huh? And then Molly like talks to her like, oh, he's looking for records, blah, blah. And she goes, okay. And then she goes like this, and the whole apartment is like just floor to ceiling
No!
records. And I could not believe it. And I was like, I just felt so good. I was like, oh my God. And then so he left and I was like, cool, I'm here until the sun goes down. I don't care. I had my portable, the cheap plastic Newmark. I went through like 3 of those in 3 months. I had that with me. I had my battery pack to charge it up. And I was just like, I'm good. I'm totally good. And so every time I had a day off, that's where I was at her apartment looking at stuff. And that's how it started. And then I found out with the translation app, she gave me the price, and I was like, what? Just like you were saying, I did the conversion, and
Yeah.
I was like, damn, how much is that? Everything was $1. Every single record. Everything was $1. It was
What?
crazy. Yeah, it was so crazy. It's not $1 anymore, but in 2017, it was $1. It was crazy.
How long did you stay there that first time?
Honestly, I stayed until I started coughing up blood because they were smoking so many cigarettes that like,
Are you
and I was
kidding
just
me?
for real. Like I was like, I had a little bit of blood. Like I was like getting really lightheaded, and they just kept serving me tea. So I was like really drunk off of this super powerful tea. And she kept giving me these little candies, like, oh yeah, it's great, it's great, it's cool. And I was like, okay, they were so nice. They're still there, and they do CDs too. And like, if you go through the Digging East hashtag, you might see like big boxes of 45s. I mean, they're overflowing with 40. It's crazy. Like you could swim, like a child could swim in these boxes of 45s. But they have loads and loads of 45s. They still have stuff. But yeah, I stayed there. I stayed there as long as I could. I don't even remember. It was a long time. I mean, I was about to pass out. I was just like, thank God they have a bathroom. I'm good. They got tea. I'm good. I'll stay here as long as I can. I just kept going back. I've been every time I go back, I always go back and visit them.
So you pointed me to one of the pictures that you had posted, and it's a picture of what looks like a record store, and there's two people standing in front of like glass cases.
Oh yeah.
And I look on the wall, and the first thing I said is, I don't know a single person on any of these records. I can't read it. How did you do it? I mean, were they able to give education on the history of the music, or say, ooh, if you like this, listen to this?
Well, like over time, I got there, especially with my wife, like who's Chinese. I met her in that city,
Okay.
but I think the picture you're talking about was in Thailand, was in Bangkok,
Okay.
and that was like a whole different ball game. That was before I met her for real, and I went there on a weekend because I knew like, okay, I have 2 days off. I'm gonna go to Bangkok. It's a 2-hour flight. Let's just do this.
But they
Because I
told
was
you
like,
not to go, right?
yes, they told me not to go because I was in China on a work visa, and they were like, hey, maybe don't go because if you get stuck in another country, we might not be able to help you. And then somebody else was like, yeah, it's probably okay. You could probably go. So I was like, no, I'm going. I'm going. I don't care. I might not ever come back here again in my life. I'm going. And so, but I mean, back then, like I said, 2-hour flight, it was $50 round trip from where I was at to go to Bangkok. I know. I was like, I'm going. I'm going. The hotel was like $75 or something. It was crazy. But that
Wow.
Bangkok was, you don't need a VPN. Their internet's more open.
Okay.
Their financial system is a little bit different. All that stuff. So it was easier to find record shops in Thailand. Some of them were definitely dead end, weren't in business anymore. But as far as like people translating in the beginning, I didn't think about that. I was just like, dig and go, just run and gun, dig and go, 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 go. Like get in and out as fast as I can, listen to it, buy it, and just leave, just go. But I mean, the more like westernized, so to speak, shops, or the shops that would speak English, like Zud Ring Ma, that I knew that was like the temple of Thai records, like Thai funk, rock, psych, soul. I saved that for the very end of my Bangkok trip. The dude who owns it, he speaks English. Maf Zai, he's like world famous DJ, super dope cat, really, really nice dude. He definitely let me know like this is Molam, this is this kind of music. He would sit down with you and and he would let you listen, but a lot of their records were so expensive that like, they were like, yeah, you can listen, but please be careful, and I was like had my portable and I was like, ooh, because there were hundreds and hundreds of dollars, some of those. So, but I just wanted to hear, like, I got to hear what these sound like.
Sure.
But yeah.
So what were the $100 records though? I mean, what genre was it?
I mean, those were the harder to find, what we would call like Thai funk, you know, like stuff from the 70s that, they'd be influenced by maybe like an American sound or something, or records left over from a certain war or something, and then all of a sudden their local traditional music would get electrified with guitars or like, distortion, or they would use amps to like make a really fuzzy psychedelic sound, stuff
Yes.
like that, because, like that's what we would hunt for. So of course it drove the price up because those records are getting more and more scarce. So that was the stuff I was like, I want to hear what $1,000 record sounds like, like
Wow.
I'm here. I might not buy it, but I want to hear what it sounds like. I'm here. So yeah.
So this is a good segue. We had kind of talked about this offline, but from the lens of a beat maker, I
Mm.
remember exploring the Light in the Attic Thai pop funk records. That was my first kind of taste, and I remember the record came in kind of this cloth sleeve, and that
Oh
it
yeah.
was the bells and whistles that had got me. But what I noticed quickly through listening was, as a beat maker, this was exactly the type of music that we wanted to sample, because it sounded like the soul and funk from the States. I had that exact same one. Yes, I had that exact same sleeve and record. Yeah.
And what's crazy is I found this at Easy Street before I even ever dreamed I would be over there. So this
Wow.
like definitely helped plant the seed. I don't mean to interrupt, but since you
No,
brought
you're
it up,
good. Show that. Show the cover. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't have the other volume. I don't have volume two. This is just volume one. But at the time, this was like, 2000, I don't know, 15 or something. And it came out and it was maybe $45 at Easy Street. And I was like,
Yeah,
oh, that's a little, like, I thought like that was expensive. Now it's like, what? But I was like, I got to get that. And it was crazy. This definitely helped plant the seeds. This is how I found out about what, like, that shop, Zedrang Ma, I found out about them at all was because of Light in the Attic putting this out with them. So,
wow.
yeah.
What are the chances that you get that, as a listener in the States, you explore this kind of music and then you actually get to go there, and see it?
Dude, it was
But
crazy. Yeah, one day I went to Light in the Attic after I came back, and
yeah,
one of the co-founders of Light in the Attic, Josh, he was there, and we were talking about Bangkok, and he was like, "Oh yeah, so Mop Zai," like we were talking about him like he was an old chum or something, and a few years before that, I was like, "Damn, this is the dude that helped put that compilation together." I never thought I'd meet him, let alone go to his shop, and then, so yeah, it definitely connected some dots later. It was amazing.
that's huge. For everyone listening, the sound of the music that we're talking about, it very much sounds like lost gems from the States, but there is this charm that comes with the regional sound, right? These were folks that were trying to make it, right? They had 9 to 5s, they had drug problems, all kinds of different things like that, but they were trying to imitate that sound that they heard in America with soul, funk, and pop. And they didn't nail it perfectly, but it's the charm
Mm.
from local instruments, right? Maybe it's the best equipment they had at the time, which wasn't very much, and you get fat fuzziness, distortion. As a beat maker, we live for those things because
Oh
we've
yeah.
heard similar melodies and drum breaks from US musicians, but these were different. And so when you're going for records like this as a beat maker and you bring it back, you feel like you got something that no one else has.
Oh yeah, that's the magic.
That leads me to the next question. Tell us, when I think about the 45, were both of these found? Was it just 2 records? Was it 1 record? Was it one store? How did you piece this together? And did you know that you had gold when you spun it?
I I mean, I knew it was enough for me to be like, "Whoa, what's that? I need to like let me grab this record." Like, okay, but a lot of times, especially as when you're overseas, it's like, what's my budget? What am I working with? Like, do I really need this? Like, oh, am I ever gonna come back here? And it was one of those moments, but you know, um, one of those was found in Bangkok, and then like the main horns for the Thailand
Okay.
record. The other one is like the bongo drums was found in China,
Wow.
and then the flip side, it's funny because I heard you say something about it like it sounded like Italian Prague, which is so amazing because it's actually a Japanese prog group was one of the samples, and they were doing their version of Italian prog, and I was like, oh my
No
god, that's
kidding.
crazy. Yeah, yeah. Like the main sweeping kind of keyboard synth and some of the guitar parts. Yeah, and then the drums are like from a different record I found in Guangzhou. But yeah, all of those they were like I was like, "Ooh, this is cool." But the main reason I selected those is because I wanted side A to be something a little bit more upbeat. You could play it out. It could be in a club setting or something else. You could hear it and be like, "Oh, cool, cool." And the B side, I wanted to be a little bit more cinematic, different. I just wanted to have that balance of the two. I didn't want them to both sound similar. Like that's why one is kind of like definitely Thai influence. The other one's a little bit more, Prague Japanese style.
I think it's a perfect pairing. When I think Pass with the Dream, man, when I heard that live, or not, when you were
Oh,
DJing in the club, that sounds awesome. You're kind of moving and grooving to it. It's impossible not to nod your head to it. And
yeah.
then on the beat, it's like, okay, let's slow down a little bit. And
Hmm.
it's really something that you think about it. And I do think about a movie when I hear that. It's like
Yep.
the final scene. And so it's a great
Exactly.
way to kind of just use your imagination when you're listening to that stuff. Because sometimes people listen to records are like, what am I supposed to do to this? Well, sometimes it's
Right.
just the background and you're there to think, right? And just
Yep.
really enjoy it, the different sounds and the textures. Um, and now that I kind of know that you really piece this together, like regionally almost.
Yeah.
So you're hearing all these different sounds. At what point do you say, I get it? The horns from here, this sample from here, these drums, right?
Mm. Yeah, I think that's really a matter of I just want to let the idea be the idea. I don't want to change it too much. I mean, you definitely want to add some stuff and see if it works. You know, as a producer, maybe add some drums here,
Mm,
or maybe sometimes, you know, like, oh, I need some. I don't know why, but I just feel like I need some talking. Like I need a vocal sample, just really quick, something to like give it like a human element, or I don't know. It just needs that, and sometimes you just can't even describe or explain why it needs what it needs, but you just have to kind of follow the idea. And that's really something I try really hard to just let go and let the idea go in its own way.
hmm.
But then since it's a 45, it's like, okay, it's 45 RPM. I want to keep it under 5 minutes, and I don't want to go over that, and I don't want it to be too short. So it's trying to find the balance between all those, like, you know, what do I want creatively, and what do I want the listener to feel, and then what can be adapted to the format.
Okay. When was the beat kind of finalized? Were there multiple versions of it? And the reason I asked that is because I think the vocal sample that you're talking about, and immediately when I heard that, I thought Madlib Flight to Brazil, the
Oh,
Cruzio records.
oh,
Do you know what I mean
oh
though? Because you
man.
hear the flight attendant on there, and it's a very similar break where it's not like the beat comes out, it's over the music, but it
Yep,
flows together so well. So I thought that
yep.
was really good, taste right there.
Man, that's crazy you mentioned that, because there is another version that's going to come out later of the side A, and it'll make a lot of sense once you hear it, once it's out there. But side B, that is the only version for sure.
Okay, okay. So this brings us to my favorite part of the show, which is show and
Oh,
tell. Do you have anything
mm,
you can show? Let us hear.
hmm
I'm
yeah. And
excited.
first, Wax Villain, I had to like really say thank you for shining a light on this. So I pulled some stuff exclusively for you. I have some other things we could listen to. They're really really cool, but
Okay.
I have some sleeves, some 7-inch sleeves from that I found over there that of course had records in them. But I just wanted to show you because I know you're a big fan of the 7-inch designs,
Yeah.
and
Oh.
so
Ooh, double sided.
yeah, yeah, very cool stuff. Got that orange and black, like
Oh
it.
wow.
It's really crazy because like it blew my mind. I mean, I was very naive. I thought I'd go over there and find all this Chinese funk from like the 70s. It's not a thing. They didn't have that. At that time, the economy couldn't support such a thing. So when you would find stuff, it's usually from Japan.
Oh wow.
Got that Charles Bronson in there. So it's like movie soundtrack, just like Japanese 45.
Yeah.
So I would actually find like a lot of Japanese 45s. And then it started to make sense. I was like, oh, well, they're so close. I guess that's how they got them, right? Like Japan's not that far away. So,
Oh
yeah, I just wanted to
wow.
show you these 45 sleeves.
Ooh, so cool. That's nice.
Yeah.
Oh
So,
man.
but yeah, like it really blew my mind because imagine like my brain when I realized, oh my God, every country has their own dollar bin. I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. Because I would go into record stores in Thailand and I was looking for like Thai stuff, right?
Yeah.
And they'd be like, oh, you want Journey? And I'd be like, no, I don't want Journey. I don't want no Journey. But it's because it makes sense because to them, you know what I mean? They want to hear our stuff and
Yeah.
why we want to hear their stuff. So
Right.
that was definitely an aha moment for me. But yeah, I'll play something for you right here. This is one of the last ones I found, 2019.
Okay.
Let's see here. This up. Just gotta wait for it. So yeah, that's this. That's this record right here, which is like this is like a White Orchid, or like winter music. I'm still trying to like make sure I get the translation right. It's funny because it's
Sure.
one of those. It's one of those. They're just like, just put the front on the back. Who cares? But like, see, like that is very kind of like Cantonese, which would be Cantonese style, which would be like Hong Kong style, like just kind of like groovy sort of lounge music. But what
Mm.
I found out was that sometimes the drums would be on the other channel, like the drums would be on the right and all the music would be on the left. And I'd be like, oh, I got it. But other times it
Wow.
wouldn't be. So a lot of it was like utilitarian. Like I just had to work with what I got. And some of it would be kind of like, it's too like folk. Like I don't want folk. But over time, I just got to like it, because you really can't, like beggars can't be choosers. So,
Sure.
but yeah, that's that one. And then let me play. This one's really crazy. Every now and then you'll find something really funky.
Sure.
The level's good.
Yeah. Oh yeah. What a beautiful cover.
I know, right?
Oh my gosh. Oh yeah. Wow. Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Every now and then you get lucky with that. It's like, oh my God. Yeah. So, yeah.
That's that feeling of it hits the needle gets on the record, you hear it and you lift it right away because you just know. You don't need
Yep.
to hear any more.
Yep.
Now, here's another interesting thing to kind of think about. Sometimes a cool cover can really be a dud. Did you experience that?
Uh, More often than not, they would be dud covers,
Okay.
and they would trick you. I'll show you. They trick you because you will see 1,000 records that look like this, 1,000, and it's cool. It's cool, but like, you're like, okay, well, it's gonna be this person singing, I guess. But sometimes it would be this, and it would be all instrumental. They'd be like, oh, they thought that would sell the record, I guess. I don't know, but it's like you will run across. I mean, man, I can't even tell you. Over and over again, a person's face
Yeah.
with a title. Over and over and over and over and over again. And I was an idiot. I was skipping those at first because I was like, yo, it's gotta be a crazy cover, Like it's gotta be like psychedelic and wild and
Yes.
which
Ooh.
oh, this one's crazy. This is super, super crazy. And
Oh my gosh.
I'd be like, it's gotta look like that. So I was skipping all of this stuff. And then I grabbed one of the ones with the faces on it, and I was like, oh my God, what am I doing? But after a while, I got to the point where I was like, I'm not going to be able to take all these back. Like, I'm not, like, I can't, am I going to ship these back? Like, I got to carry them with me somehow. I got to check the bag. So, but yeah, more often than not, it was like a so-so cover with a crazy dope record.
That's really wild. So one thing I've noticed just over collecting, and this was more of a US thing, but it made me think of the pictures of people on the covers over there. Back in the day, say Mongo Santa Maria, right?
Oh,
He was a
yeah.
conguista. Same thing for Stevie Wonder when it was Ebbets Red Now. Oftentimes the musician, if they were colored, they would not put them on the record. Instead, you would see, flashy women dancing. And so
Hmm.
it's rare to find
Yeah.
a Mongo Santa Maria record, original pressing, with him on the cover. So
Wow.
fast forward, there was a record that was in Easy Street when it was in Lower Queen Anne, and
Yeah.
it was a Japanese record. It was any writing on it was in Japanese, but there was a woman who was topless, very much posing like a lot of the covers that you're describing. And I said,
Hmm.
if I leave this, I'll never see it again. So I picked it up. It was probably like a $40 record,
Yep.
and I get it home thinking that I've got gold. The entire record was an instrumental with a woman moaning throughout from start to finish. And
Oh
I would
no.
hear these parts of the instrumental that I said, oh my gosh, that would be great to sample. But it was so hard to find a portion without her moaning. She,
Uh,
when I did the research on the record, it was actually a very, very much sought after record. And the woman was an actress. It
oh,
was maybe, I don't want to say pornography, but it was something in between porn and risky.
oh,
She was an
okay.
actress and she recorded like one album and she just moans.
It wasn't this, was it?
That's not the cover,
Okay.
but very much. I saw the chest and I said, I mean, it just caught my attention. I'm not used to seeing naked women on records like that.
Yeah, that's why
So
I guess that's why they did it, right?
to grab the attention. And so, like in the
Yeah.
Bangkok store, it's literally faces of every musician on each of those covers.
Yeah.
There's no clues really, right? And so,
Yeah.
very similar to you, I had that same thought process when in Amsterdam or Singapore. I'm looking for psychedelic looking covers,
Yep.
black colors,
Yep.
things that I'm used to seeing at home that are indicators for a great record.
Yeah.
But it gets hard when you're overseas and you're trying to size these records up that you're like, oh, that looks boring, skip. And you would never know if it was gold.
Well, I mean, it's funny because it really like it just really reminds you just don't judge a record by its cover. You know, it really reminds you like slow down. If you got
mhm.
a portable or if they have a listening station, just give it some time, you know. Just be cool with the people who are there. Let them know that you're just there because you're excited about whatever they have.
Mhm.
And yeah, that's yeah, man. You definitely hit it on the head for sure. I mean, how many times have you bought a record in America that like, oh, that cover is crazy, and then I mean, now we would probably do more research, but that cover's crazy, and you're like, nah, the record's not that great, but the artwork's good. But yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, that happens too. And I think a lot of times with a really cool reissue, you will see this awesome album artwork and you're like, that has to be good. They
mm-hmm.
brought it back to life and you're like, ooh, it's a little different, you know? Uh, let's talk about, you're making the beat, you get the idea for the Diggin' East imprint. For people like us who would want to kind of follow in the path that you did, what does it take from like the sense of the record label, you kind of playing both roles as founder and kind of, the artist? How did you get it on the, what happened in between, you're getting it on the vinyl where you're ready to sell it? Did you have to clear anything or anything like that?
You mean space in the release schedule?
Yeah.
No, no, it actually had like there was a perfect moment to slip it in there. It was really perfect, and it was what I did. I guess I will say I was kind of hesitant to take the spot that Funkways had the year before because Funkways was 2000. Was like the end of that year. Winter, we did like the winter pre-order or the
Mhm.
December pre-order going into 2021,
Yeah.
and that record did so well. I was like, "Ooh, that slot is like a good slot." But then Funkways 2, when I realized I was going to get it back quicker, Joel and I were like, "Let's just do it. Let's put it out and let's just do it." And then I realized, "Oh, my 7-inch will come out after it." And then it just happened to be the 10th release, and I was like, "Oh, that's crazy." So it didn't shake anything up. And where
Okay.
we're at now is in terms of the label where we're at, everything is on time. Everything's very smooth. We feel very lucky about that. But it was definitely something where I was like, I don't want to disrupt anyone else. So as
Hmm.
long as it's not disrupting anybody else, and as long as I feel like I can promote the record, from me being an artist from that standpoint, I feel good about that.
Very cool. What does the future look like for Diggin' East? Are we going to see any other artists? Is this, exclusively you? What can we expect?
Yeah, it's definitely going to be not exclusively me. There's some more artists. There's some reissues that are in the works that are probably years away. Oh yeah,
Okay.
for real. Like it's been something that I like the first moment I went over there, I just like knew like, oh, that has to happen. Like that has to happen because not a lot of people are doing that. In South Korea called Beatball Music that puts out really dope stuff. I actually like they're like a big inspiration to me because they're finding stuff that like you don't find many places. Like funk, soul, and rare groove from like the late '70s. This funky cool comp, if you can find it, is really great. It's amazing. It's on
That's
pink
a
vinyl, so I
beautiful
know you'll love
cover.
it.
Oh,
Yeah. I mean, these people, it's like Light in the Attic. They're really doing the reissue service some justice, but
yeah.
the reissue game, like, it takes years and years. And there's the translation ordeal, but there's also the fact that a lot of the people are just like, disappeared. Like, you don't know where they are, but you got to track down their family, that kind of stuff. So there's reissues. There's also going to be some like new artists as well that I'm working with. And there's going to be some more stuff for me, but it's definitely going to be just focused on that area for sure, like mainland China, Hong Kong, Thailand, and
Wow.
then whatever else happens that's out of that area. It's going to be focused on that area because I'm just not seeing a lot of it, and I want to see more. And I mean, just going over there and being in that culture completely changed my life, and I want to
Mm.
share that as much as I can.
I love that. I think that's so exciting. I mean, you're truly shining the light, right? I mean, yes, others have done it in a different capacity, but I love the fact that it's on a 45. It's coming from Wax Thematic, and that kind of leads to my next question. What
Mm.
does the dig in, what does kind of the extension, right? The growth, the progression of the label mean when Diggin and East is there, and now you as an artist are kind of stepping out of Paces, Lift, and Bend Bounce, and now doing your solo thing. So, what does that mean from you wearing all the different hats, to founder, to artist, and just kind of stepping back and saying, "Holy cow! I am opening this lane for people to explore and experience music the way I did. Whether you're a beat maker, a sample junkie, you just love listening, this is great music that you're exposing to us."
Mm. Damn, that's a good one, man. I think that, digging east, I knew that I was like, it has to be an extension of Wax somehow, or at least
Mm-hmm.
some sort of sub label, or maybe it's just a series, or maybe it's an imprint. But I feel so strongly about it that it has to be its own thing. That's just what I
Mm.
what I want out of it and what I feel like it needs to be. So that's the digging east part of it. And then also, as far as, yeah, me stepping a little bit outside of the Paces, Lift, and Bend Bounce was more so like, that's like the character that works with Ben Bounce, and we have that incredible dynamic, 30 beats in 30 days, and we go head to head, and it just like puts everything into a pressure cooker and bang it out. But
Mm-hmm.
I really wanted to, like, okay, I want to do my own thing for sure. And I know it's going to be different genres, but mainly focused on beats and that world. So that was like, you know what? It's going to be my name, and
Mm.
I'm just going to do it because I know if I put my name on it, I can't hide. I can't create a character. It's
Mm.
me, and if I put it out, I know it really has the stamp of approval because it's got my name on it, like my for real name on it. And so that's where all that came from.
Wow, that is really cool stuff. So, other artists, we got more in the works, reissues, things like that.
Yeah.
My last question, man, and,
Mm.
and I tried to sift it out myself, but I couldn't find it. Tell us about the artwork on that label, what it means to you, what we should be thinking about, as we see future releases, because it's the details that matter so much to me. And I just, from putting Nathan Womack on it to the way the label is done, everything seems like it was the right thing to do.
Man, that feels so good that you say that, because that was one thing I realized, like, okay, it's going to be my own name, it's going to be my music, but I'm also going to do the art, because I was like, how do I take it up a notch? Like, and the next one that's coming out is the same thing. Like, I did the art, I did the layout, I chose the colors, very intentional. And on the 7 inch, it's a throwback to a King Records Japan 45 label. It's like, now you'll see, Coal Mine, Tramp, you'll see them take old labels and flip them and put their own
Yes.
spin on it as like a paying
Yeah.
homage to that. So I was like, I'm going to do that, but it's going to be from the East. And so I did that with that first one. And I actually saw Skeem Richards in an interview right before I announced the 7 inch, and he had one of the records. Like, I was like, oh damn,
No
there it
shit.
is. And it was like a King Records Japan, and he was showing somebody like, oh yeah, check out this different stuff. And I was like, whoa, that's crazy. But yeah, that's where that comes from. It's paying tribute to that, because the record that had that label design with the lines, that was the first 45 I ever found in while I was over there, and it happened to be in Bangkok. But it was the first 45, and it was a Japanese, like a 70s Japanese 45. But if anyone wants to look or try, there are Easter eggs on the label that tell you more about the story of the sounds. So that's why like there's different writing, characters, different language on the 45. So and I'm all about the Easter eggs because liner notes, records, this guy played bass, this guy did this. Like who's that engineer? Damn, he engineered that record too. So I like to carry that tradition on as well and put that in my stuff.
Wow, I just want to show it real quick so everyone can see it. Very, very cool, very clean label. I love the colors used, but that design is incredible. One more question, man. Going through this, were there any challenges you maybe experienced for the first time doing this as a solo artist, or were there no surprises? You kind of knew the process and,
I think one of the challenges was the title of the A side.
Okay.
Because that actually came about because one of the records I was sampling at the time, I was using a translation app where you take a picture of the Mandarin and then it translates it to English. But the translation was wrong, like the grammar is incorrect. And something about that, I was like, I'm going to keep it. I'm not going to fix it. That's why it's past but the dream, even though that's, grammatically not maybe the best way to do it. It should be past but a dream. But I was like, I'm going to keep that because there's something about that mistake and just mistakes in general in the artistic world that are, but for a while I was like, should I do that? And I was like, yeah, I'm doing it. And then Nanjing Road on the backside is like, I was in a little cafe one day and I was working on the beat. And then like that, when I found that sample, I was listening to records I found that day in this little coffee shop. And that was the road that the cafe was on. So that's why I named it that. So that's why some stuff I was like, yeah, like once I got over the initial, like, I don't care about like what people think, whatever they think, let's just do it. Let's go for it. So, and then beyond that, it was the 7-inch format. I was hesitant. I was very hesitant, but because of the first Funkways, I was like, nah, I'm doing it. Let's do it. I have to make my contribution to that format, and it's going to be a little bit different. But I'm going to go for it. So the first edition of Funkways, the La People Cool June, that's what inspired me to do I'm going to do a 7-inch for sure.
I love these insights. I love the fact that Nanjing Road was a day, that was an experience for you. And you put that as the song title. Now what's funny about Past But the Dream, I'm going to keep it real with you, man. I've been saying Past But a Dream.
Oh, it's okay. Everybody has. I know. It's okay.
Until I looked at it last night. And I said, shit, I've been saying it wrong this whole time. He's been quite a gentleman letting me do it.
No, it's cool. It's all good. Awesome, I totally expected that. I mean, do you know how many times I've read Places Lift like in my life? Like so many times. It's okay. It's totally cool. But that's why I was kind of like, do I change it? Or I was like, no, it was in the moment. It happened. And like, it was a mistake. Cool. I'm just going to leave it. And let's
that's the charming character.
For sure.
Yeah. All right, man. That takes us to the end of the chat. Before we go, is there anything you'd like to say to anybody watching?
Man, I just want to say thank you so much for giving me the opportunity. It's really special to be able to just present this and just, have a little tiny contribution to the art form and, bring it into the 7-inch format, the beat world, the sample world, the cultural conversation globally, so just a giant thank you, man.
I love this because this is like one of the first times that I've actually been able to have this conversation about digging outside the U.S., kind of that shock and surprise of when you find the store and then you don't know what's on the records. So this was a lot of fun, and I'm glad we got to do this. But more importantly, I think anyone that watches this, they're going to be armed for when they go overseas and they have to go to that record store because of the stuff that we've talked about on here. So I think we've done a great service for anybody that's a sample junkie, a crate digger, a beat maker, putting them on to, not just the way a record might look and what we think is a hit record or where we might go to find things. I think if anything, we've kind of let everyone know that, hey, you've got to explore, don't judge a book by a cover, and really take in the environment around you because that all shapes the music and the experience.
For sure, man. Absolutely. I couldn't have said it better. You got it 100%. That's it.
All right, brother. That takes us to the end. Thank you so much. I'll send you a link when we're done. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. This was a really special one-night-only thing for Gem Dropping. I don't know how often we're going to do this, but it made sense for tonight. Nathan, I wish you the best with Wax Thematic, digging east.
Thank you, man.
I can't wait to see what's next from the new imprint, man.
Boom. Thank you. Peace.
Waxvillain, Seattle, Washington. We're out. Take care, everybody.